This lesson is about the benefits of playing a 5-string. So 5-string versus 4-string, which is a question that I get all the time. Okay, so let's jump right into it. As you guys can see, I'm holding a 5-string bass. You guys normally don't see me play a 5-string, but I actually play a 5-string a lot. When I'm playing out, playing different gigs and recording and doing other things, I play a 5-string. And when I'm teaching, I play a 4-string. But I was recording a track for someone and it required me to be able to play, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But this lesson is about the benefits of playing a 5-string. So 5-string versus 4-string, which is a question that I get all the time. People asking me when should they move to 5-string, or why do I play 5 versus a 4, or why do you play both? So I'm going to talk about two benefits. That's really all it boils down to. Two benefits of playing a 5-string, and I'll talk about the cons as well as for playing a 5-string. The first benefit of having a 5-string or playing a 5-string is the lower range. So 4-string versus 5-string, you have, first of all, quick side note, if you're looking for a crazy exercise lesson or something like that, this is not the lesson. I'm going to be talking about the benefits, obviously, and more of a talking concept versus 5 and 4 type of lesson. So if you want to see that, go to another lesson. We're talking about 5-string in this one. Anyway, 4-string, we have the E, A, the D, and the G, obviously. Now with a 4-string, you can't go any lower than that E, the note E. But on a 5-string, you only have 5 notes that you can go lower on. Okay, so listen, if you're tired of struggling learning how to play bass on your own, you gotta check out Bass Nation Academy. We cover so many topics and have a ton of lessons to go along with them. We even have live interactive classes every single week. And there's so much more that we have to offer that will be available to you. And it's been amazing to be able to help thousands of bass players in their bass playing journey. So see for yourself, see what some of the members are saying. Click the link somewhere around this video to learn more about us and hopefully become a part of the Bass Nation Academy. So it's the 5th string that allows you, or the B string, that allows you to play those lower notes. So on the B string, you have an E as well, so we're not going to count that one. On the B string, you have an E flat, that's 1, D, 2, D flat, that's 3, C, that's 4. I did the C instead of 4. That's 4. And then the B, which is 5. So 5 notes that are lower than an actual 4-string bass guitar that you can achieve on a 5-string. That is literally the one benefit, the first benefit of having a 5-string or playing a 5-string is those 5 lower notes. Now you might be thinking, okay, why do you need to play those lower notes? With this specific example, I was playing to a track, I was recording a song, and they sent a reference track. The reference track included those lower notes, the lower C sharp, the lower C, or D flat, the lower E flat. It included those notes in the reference track that they sent me that they wanted me to play. So of course, I probably would have played it with a 4-string if those weren't included. But since we had those lower strings, those lower notes, the lower notes that we had to play, obviously I went and switched for the 5-string. But 4-string versus 5-string, I've been switching on and off for years. So it's pretty easy for me to make that transition. But another part of that is to understand what's the difference between a 4-string and a 5-string to really have me be comfortable with playing both, right? So that is the first one, being able to achieve those lower notes. And that's the first part of it. So let's go to the second part of it, is what I like to call proximity, okay? So proximity basically meaning when you're playing a groove, when you're playing a groove and you want to play that root note or that lower note, so in this case, I'm playing an F sharp or G flat, a nice little groove in that key, and I have to shift down here to be able to play that lower root note. I have to shift down to that 2nd fret to be able to achieve that lower note. Now, the reason why I said proximity is because if I'm playing here on this part of the register of this part of the fretboard, I actually have an F sharp or G flat right where my hand lands, right here on this 7th fret, instead of shifting all the way back down to this fret. So that's where the proximity comes into play. It's easier to get to certain notes, or either root notes, or it doesn't have to be a root note, but those lower notes, the B string allows you, it's not just necessary, it's a lower note because I have this note on the 4th string. but I have the ability to have access to the same note in closer range. Does that make sense? So I don't have to move. This is just an example bass line. I won't be able to do that if I was playing a 4-string. I'll have to shift down to be able to play that G flat. So that's where proximity comes into play. The other part of the proximity effect is when you're playing chords. So let's say we're playing, B major 7. Let's make it pretty. So B major 7. I can play that on this 7th fret. Obviously I have my major 7, I have the 3, I have the 1 here, right? I can play that same exact thing on the B string using that 5 string or that 5th string, play the same exact chord. Not only that, I can extend the chord. So being able to have that or utilize an extra string, now I have another note that I can add on if I wanted to and make that a 13. If I'm playing with a 5 string. And if you guys notice or paid attention to, to the other chord lessons where I'm playing chords, and we've talked about 13 chords and suspended chords and extended chords like that, I'm usually playing a rootless chord because I don't have the ability to play the bass note at the same time. But playing a 5 string allows me to be able to do that and play the bass note at the same time and get that note out, get that extra extended chord or extra extended note. That's a B major 13. Same thing goes with the other style or other position of a major 7 chord. So if I played my B major 7 in this second position here where I have the root, the 3rd, and the 7th, I can take that same chord that I would be able to play on a 4 string and move that root note down an octave. See how much more full that sounds, a lot more a bass tone to it, or obviously I can utilize the open string, which is even lower. So that is the proximity effect, allowing you to be able to play notes that are closer to where your position is versus shifting down or shifting to another spot where you would have to do on a 4 string. That brings me to my next point, or the other side of this, which is the con, right? The con of being able to play a 5 or playing a 5 string, one of the downsides is it can be a crutch at times if you're not careful. Now, what I mean by that is because you don't have to move as much, because you can become efficient in how much you move, sometimes that limits your knowledge or your memory on where the notes are on the fretboard, like you would have to do on a 4 string. So on a 4 string, I know where these notes are because I'm shifting all the time. That's an upside to be able to play the 4 string and just have that fretboard knowledge. You have that fretboard knowledge because you're playing a 4 string and you have to shift. You don't have the, what is the word I'm looking for? You don't have the ability and you don't have the access to be able to play these notes super quick because they're right under your hands. You have to shift sometimes. So there's a downside to that as well. You can become a little bit dependent on the fact that you have this F sharp right, or this G flat right here. Then we go to play a 4 string, you might have to shift to find that note. So that's why it's very important to be able to, obviously I did that by mistake, or I did that on purpose to show that it would be a mistake if you get this kind of confused. It's important to know where your notes are or to know your fretboard. That's why I always suggest 4 string first. That way you know the foundation. If you want to move to 5 string, it'll be a piece of cake because you're not worried about it becoming a crutch. And I think that's why I can switch back and forth between 4 string and 5 string, or 6 string or 7 string. It doesn't really matter because I understand the concept of the 2 different instruments. Also, one other point that I wanted to make that I forgot to make is the correlation between a keyboard and the bass, right? Bass guitar and a keyboard. 4 string, and I've talked about this all the time. 4 string bass is like that 61 key. I don't even know how many keys a keyboard. I really don't know. Please don't quote me on that. 61 key, whatever it may be. And then a 5 string is like an 88 key. right? Same notes, more range. 4-string versus 5-string, same notes, more range, right? So you can think about it in that aspect, and you can kind of incrementally go up as well as far as the 4-string, 5-string, 6-string, 7-string, 25 key, 40 something key, 61 key, 88 key. I don't know how many keys there are, but you get the idea. Same notes, more range, more range, more range. Nothing changed. The instrument is still exactly the same. I just have the ability to move. Same concept with the keyboard as well. Sometimes if you have very little keys, you have to be able to know how to finesse and make these chords and build these chords to where you can utilize the keys that are in front of you. Now with the more stretched out approach, you can just stretch these chords out. You can play them in different inversions, you have the ability to do that, right? Same thing goes with the bass guitar. Obviously, it's a preference when it comes down to it. If you're knowledgeable on both instruments, or not even on both instruments, on one of them, especially the 4-string, you'll be able to stretch out a little bit more on any other stringed bass. It doesn't matter how many strings it has. So make sure your notes are coming out clean, clear, and precise. I hope that cleared up some things for you guys, the 2 benefits and the 1 con that I kind of came up with or created or discovered as, you know, not being so beneficial of being able to play 5-string. But to me, I like both. So it's just really up to you. I always say experiment, try it. Just don't let it become a crutch if you play a 5-string, 6-string, 7-string. Make sure that foundation is always there on a 4-string. That way you have no problems moving to any other bass.